Hi. Hi everyone, so my name is Melisa. I'm a final year interior architecture student and today I'll be presenting to you a new future for Marbella. So, our final major project consisted of La Bajadilla, which is the new extension of the port in Marbella. And the goal of this project was to design a future for Marbella linking to the original project proposal from 2008 called La Bajadilla. La Bajadilla was planned to be transformed into a new sleek, high-tech marina which could expand the capacity of the existing port, allowing luxury cruise liners as well as a higher class of society to dock at what is considered one of the most luxurious places in Marbella. Not Marbella, in the world. So we had different areas to choose from, and I decided to focus on the hotel of the master plan, which is this one here, taking into consideration the climate change and the future of Marbella as a whole. So moving on swiftly, this is the current harbour here. So this would be the whole extension of the harbour, which would be extended to nearly 1,000 metres of new port. My area was around 35 to 25 metres, 35 length, 25 wide, allowing me to have around 790 metres squared per floor with an original height of about 65 metres that later on I ended up changing. So this is the proposed existing hotel which came from the original master plan. So moving on to doing research about my climate change, I realised going into my research that the south of Spain could be really, really affected in terms of droughts, because as we can already see in the day and age that we are in now, we have rain here and there, but we're experiencing heat waves, temperatures rising of up to 40 degrees, 45, and it is predicted that by 2050, average temperature rising would be up to 50 degrees in a regular normal month rather than in a summer month. So the Mediterranean coast is very sensitive to global warming, partly because Atlantic storms are likely to shift northwards, meaning more sun and less rain. And already at large of Spanish territory suffers from desertification in coastal areas, and the water shortage and land loss could be gone because of sea level rising and obviously due to forest fires, the loss of soil fertility. It could be a really, really bad situation in terms of the economy and the way things are built for the future. So moving on to, sorry. So after doing most of my research about how Spain could basically be the new Sahara Desert, I looked into how can today's day deserts survive, and there's still these constructions going on in the middle of the desert. And then I looked into cactus, because there is a lot of cactus in deserts, and it is amazing how they manage to survive in such harsh weather conditions without any water, with constant sunlight. So as I said, when researching about my desert environment, the cacti represented how us as a society will have to adapt to hot conditions in order to survive. And as you can see, the cactus during the summer, most other plants, when they don't receive water or they have too much sunlight, they die and they rot, not the cactus. So I wanted to focus on how the whole process of a cactus can be put into the function of a sustainable building. So after researching about the cactus and looking at the different shapes and forms that it comes in and how its actual outside coat is an actual self-shading device, I took the shape And I went into my concept development because I had to kind of establish what sort of building would it be. Would it be round? Would it be tall? Would it be small? So cactus grow upwards. So I chose to make a high-rise building, taking into consideration a base shape, which it could be the way a cactus is normally shaped. And then due to airflow and having the sunlight onto the building, I started subtracting different areas and then seeing that there could be airflow, but obviously if you're in a really high-rise building, you don't want it to be just open air and then someone falls or there's too much wind or, you know. So I took the splines of the cactus and made it into a sun shading device, which would act as paneling on the building. So if you've noticed down in Marbella, there is a very strong divider between public and private sectors. And I thought to myself, well, why not, apart from also having, yes, a luxurious hotel and it's still been for very high clientele, why not combine both private and public being together? So this would represent my private sectors and these small little buildings would represent the public ones. And I wanted to start merging them all into this tower, which then would end up combining into this. In terms of sustainability, you need to start thinking as well. Well, I ended up thinking that if we're thinking of the future, at this point, yes, we have, I can't present like this. At this point, we should have different growing methods for the way these cactuses would be sustained inside this massive high-rise tower. So I looked into aeroponics, and aeroponics is a growing method where nutrient solutions is sprayed directly onto the root of the plant, and the plant roots hang down in the middle of the air, so you don't need any soil. And this way, that due to this system, the plant is able to grow without having to use what we normally use in plantation in today's day and age. So you wouldn't have to actually look after the plant. This whole machine actually does it for you, which is my whole idea of a self-sustained building for 2050. So here I have a little diagram representing like the water system, how it would work. So the water evaporates and runs through a tube system. Then the sunlight heats up the air inside and it goes all the way up this tube, and then the water gets pumped onwards into these. So this is a small representation of what it would actually look like floor to floor. So you just have different like spraying systems inside this machine, and that's the way that these plants get their feeding. So moving on to my proposed floor plan. So the strategy of being very efficient in a hot environment is mainly visible in the space distribution. So here we have the main oasis, and we have 6 different rooms and a presidential suite with its own oasis inside this room. As a cactus in the desert, an oasis is formed to give function to my building and using the vegetation to be able to collect the water from the humidity of the atmosphere, creating a luxurious mood while refreshing the desert climate around. So, as I said, this is my oasis. And so you can see, have an idea of what my building would look like. I made a little elevation. And the facade of the building is designed to make the architecture energetically efficient, utilizing sunshades, as I mentioned previously, these ones, which represent my cactus splines, on its windows. Depending on the intensity of the sun during the day, the sunshades can open and close to keep out the heat when it's too much. And this is similar to how our cactus chooses to perform transpiration in order to retain water, as I mentioned previously. So these are my sections. So this is section AA, which would be this one up here. So every 3rd floor, the building gets shifted. So each oasis, so each third floor has the chance to absorb that sunlight and absorb that heat and have the opportunity to recreate that process of how the cactus functions so the whole building can function as one. So an oasis, which is more than one oasis, are irrigated by natural springs or other underground sources, in this case being the pools, which are represented here. They vary in size, creating indoor public spaces. The innovative strategy of the distribution of the space is visible in the section where there is no distinction between indoor and outdoor public space. The skyscraper's design represents a new way of developing new architecture typologies. So you can see here on the ground floor you have no difference between out or in, and then just the floors go up. But every single time you move around the hotel, you have the chance to be part of this outdoor world, but in an indoor environment where temperatures are regulated thanks to our cactuses. So talking about sustainable materials, 2050 isn't too far away, so we kind of do have to still be realistic in terms of what will be available in the next 30 years. So, my first material, when I was looking into sustainable and environmentally friendly materials, because obviously building a skyscraper is either concrete, you've got big structures, big metallical structures, and that again still brings in all this heat that we don't really want to have in because the heat will be outside. So timber used to be a really good material to build with years ago, and it's slowly coming back into fashion because it's been nourished and strengthened by technological advances and a series of processes that increase its sustainability, safety and efficiency. Timber structures are popping up in the skylines of cities, and in turn is reconnecting our interior spaces with nature through the warmth, texture and beauty of wood, which then again, indoor, outdoor feeling, that is the whole concept that I wanted behind this. A new material also that is trying to be taken over concrete, because concrete isn't very sustainable. And these students in the College of London have found a way to create a special type of concrete, but from desert sand. So going back into what I was saying in the beginning, Marbella will become a desert. So since it's all going to be sand, why not take all that sand and actually use it to make this high-rise tower? So sand is normally one of the most used materials in creating concrete, and this type of sand can be found in deserts. So I thought it was a perfect opportunity to link both into one, and then I just ended up bringing an old but gold natural stacked stone to make it still look like this desert feeling, because you still have loads of stones, you've got the plants, and here is a little representation of what I wanted one to feel in terms of the greenery, the light tones, the sandy tones, the more darker tones, the wood here on the side, just so you get a feeling of the space that I wanted to create. So this is my oasis. So when you come out of the lift, you walk straight into this oasis, and this is the view that you have from the pool into what you have one of the lounge areas. We have beautiful ceramics. We have here on the ground the sand concrete and beautiful windows looking out to the Mediterranean coast. There's also, here you can see the different rooms. So here would be one room, two, and etc. And it continues going up. Here we have another view from my pool area into the sand lounge. So with constant natural light coming in daily, and all of that absorption that the cactuses are getting from this sunlight creates a really atmospheric space inside, which is still being cooled down by these cactuses. So you get two in one. This is another view from my oasis, so you can just have a see about those beautiful views outside and the rock and all the trees and all the vegetation. Then this is what the cactuses would be lined up in, so they would also go all the way around and they wouldn't need any soil either, so they would just be self-sustained all year round, and it's a beautiful view to look at. They also work as sun shading, so if there's too much sunlight coming in throughout the day, these cactuses can also protect you from getting sunburnt when you're tanning at the end of the day. So here is the lineup, and this would be if you're sat on the lounge area. Again, one can appreciate the beautiful vegetation surrounding. So when you go into the presidential suite, which is the big one with the oasis inside, you walk in and you can appreciate, again, the cactus, the paneling, which comes from the splines, and it acts as protection from the sunlight, but you can still have areas here where the sunlight still can come in, but these can shift. So as the day goes by, you can choose whether you want to let the light in, you want to block it out, up to you. You also have a small little kitchen for people to have their own drinks there, whether they want a coffee, whatever, they don't need to go down to the restaurant and intervene with everyone else. So here is another view looking outside, where you have again another beautiful view to the Mediterranean coast and the sea. And here's the view from the kitchen to the suite's private pool with extraordinary views again to the sea, to the land around. You can look into Marbella, 360 view. Here we have a bathroom, which once you go into the bathroom, the glass blacks out, so no one can see in, or you can't see out, unless obviously one leaves the bathroom, then it goes back to clear, or you can leave it matted, up to you. This is the presidential sleeping quarters, where again we have these beautiful cactuses, we have the paneling acting, like I mentioned before, as a sun shader, and I wanted to bring in these goldy tones into this desert type of design because everything is quite clean and nude and monotone, and having these little pops of color and luxury really does end up making your space. Then here's another view, admiring the outside of the oasis, so you're looking into the hotel. And here you can see an eagle's eye view of what it would look like all together. So here's the bathroom, shower, kitchen areas here, and then you've got the pool again on that side. So you have beautiful views wherever you are in this room. And here's a frontal view of my ensuite. And again, the pools and the plants. And everything is very desert theme, but still very natural, very clean, but it still doesn't feel like, you feel good, you feel luxurious. So, here's an outdoor view of what my building would look like when you're walking around the marina, and you can see it's 110 meters tall, views all 360 around the whole hotel. It's beautiful. So before I move on to my video, I just want to say a few things. So me personally, I am extremely proud of what I've been able to achieve for this final academic project. I've really shown myself that if I want to, I can, no matter how hard I feel it's going to be or how fast deadlines are approaching. Apart from my several daily breakdowns, as you've all seen in the academy, I have achieved a high level. Of course, there's always room for improvement, but at some point you've got to just say, like, enough is enough, and this is what it is. And obviously my internship and my teachers have really helped me grow up and expand my learning capacity to keep achieving the best, whether it's academically or in my future career. So cue the video, please. Thank you.